Bryan Ferry, born September 26, 1945, is the son of a coal miner. He cast off his working-class background and created the image of a slightly jaded, thoroughly debonair lounge lizard while studying and teaching art at the University of Newcastle. This image was exemplified by Roxy Music album covers, graced with Ferry's girlfriend of the time, supermodel Jerry Hall. Hall later went on to tell all about her romance with Ferry in a book he refers to as a romantic novel.
How do you feel about the media attention you're getting from Jerry Hall's book?
I've just always been, as you know, a fairly private sort of person, almost paranoid about it, about having this sort of part of my life that I don't really share with too many people. And that's always been fairly important to me.
Now married and the father of two, Ferry has learned that his public persona has drawbacks.
Do you lead a pretty secluded life now?
There was a while when I kind of loved the thing of finishing a record or finishing a tour and disappearing off into a completely different world, you know, which I find really refreshing, because I get very bored and jaded if I was to live the same life all the time, you know, and I think sometimes the rock and roll world lifestyle can be a bit of a narrow corridor, and to escape from that was very important for me. And now I escape from it in a different way. I have a very quiet time.
Were you aware of the effect that your image had?
It used to kind of disturb me. I mean, I began to feel it was getting in the way of the music, especially with the Bride Stripped Bare was the sort of turning point where I said, hey, wait a minute, this is a good record, at least I thought it was. A bit on the gloomy side, but I felt that the image had started to get in the way of the music a bit. And I felt that if I was a kind of person out there, I wouldn't really like the image that was being projected. And it wasn't really coming from me so much, because after a while the image tends to take on a life of its own. You know?
We've also talked about all of the bands that, well, we can't say were influenced by you. I mean, I will say I feel blatantly copied you.
I think everybody wants to be unique, you know, and sometimes you feel a bit protective about it, but if you kind of think about it more deeply, then you reach the conclusion in the end that nobody can be you. And so I suppose with the last few records I've tried harder to go deeper within myself and be as, you know, just to follow my own way, you know. I guess that's one of the reasons why I don't listen to what other people do, because I want to be producing a kind of very personal music which is hopefully a bit different from what other people do.
You've gone back and forth. You've said you like working with studio musicians, then you said you'd like working with a band because of that camaraderie, but you did always admit that there had been personality conflicts within Roxy Music. Is that what really just got it to the point of having to be over?
Partly, yes. I mean, because it wasn't really a band in the tight sense, except for the first year or so, which is 72, 73. And that's a long time ago. After that, it became more and more just a sort of idea of a band, or a kind of trading name, you know, which in the end I kind of shared with the two other people, and Andy and Phil. And I felt that the chemistry had sort of run its course with Avalon, and that just seemed to be the culmination of all the work we'd done together. And I felt that anything after that would be just a kind of a repeat of what we'd done already. That's what I felt, you know, and so you just do what you feel.
Do you ever see them?
No.
You're not really friends?
No, well, we never were much.
I didn't think you could actually make a better record than Avalon, because it is possibly my favorite record, and I think your new one is better. Boys and Girls. It's a very romantic album, very beautiful. Did you had described Avalon as a concept sort of thing. Did you feel that way about this?
With this one, I didn't really know what to do to begin with. I thought, well, what do I do now? I did feel I had to do it with a completely free hand of musicians, you know, soloists and so on. And the thing, the idea I started off with was to try and make it stronger rhythmically, a little bit more aggressive maybe than some of the other things I'd done.
In the video, for example, "Slave to Love," are you making some statement there?
Oh, that's not my. It's not really my story, you know. When I finished the album, I sort of hastily kind of looked at the work of, you know, various directors and so on, and this director was recommended to me, and I liked his work, and I gave him the song. Jean-Baptiste Mondino he's called, and he lives works in Paris, and I gave him the song "Slave to Love" and said, well, I've sort of done what I can do with the song, you know, you go away and do your interpretation of it, and which I think is just, you know, one way of doing it. So it was bringing in a fresh energy on the whole thing.